Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play $5 using the promo code. Welcome to Light Years. NBA Cup fever. Tommy, do you got that NBA Cup fever?
How can you not after a game like that? I mean, Steph and Dre were clearly feeling the nerves of the NBA Cup, man. The Emirates NBA Cup. Don't forget that part. But
I keep thinking of that meme. It's the NBA Cup, Jerry. It's the NBA Cup. But I'm well, you know what? The Warriors will find out after the Nuggets Mavericks game if they've automatically qualified for the next round. But 3 wins, they're in pretty good position to qualify on. Given the way they're playing, real shot that they're going to end up in Vegas in the NBA Cup. And I don't really know what to think about this in the history of accomplishments in the NBA. But you know what? I'm not opposed to it. Seems like a fun time.
Look, it's just another little notch on the belt that you can look back on. Right. You know, LeBron gets to say he's an NBA Cup winner, the inaugural NBA Cup winner. It'd be nice if Steph could add it to the hardware too. And Draymond, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be more. The December schedule is already pretty tough. If people haven't looked ahead as of right now, the Warriors are only playing one team who's currently below 500 in December. So that December schedule is already tough. And playing in the NBA Cup would definitely add to that. But it is what it is, man. If that's what it ends up being, let's go win an NBA Cup.
Yeah. And more than anything, the tournament is the first month of the season. It tells me they are playing great ball to open the season. It's not the only indicator. The 12-3 record's an indicator. The basketball we're watching on a night in, night out basis is a general indicator. But, it's cool to have these little things because it's a long season. So I'll take what I can get. Also, look, to cover this pod fairly, we're going to have to go to Vegas if they make it. So.
Oh, that without a doubt.
It's just, trying to, it's the only thing that's fair to the listeners. So we're going to have to do it. So.
Yeah. Live show from Vegas, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. With that said, the thing I kind of appreciate also about it is it gives us, I don't want to call it playoff basketball, but the ending of that game is not the ending of a normal late November game. That's the ending of a game where you're like, I want to see if I can get something out of this game. It's a playoff ending. It's exactly what you hope for with this cup. And, the execution for the Warriors down the stretch was not what I hoped for, but it's kind of good. You see them in those moments early in the season to let you know what you have and maybe what needs to be cleaned up, what you don't have type of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's good to simulate, playoff-ish level pressure for younger guys. Obviously, I thought Trace was very good down the stretch after maybe struggling a little bit early in the game. Obviously, Pod's got some late minutes. Moody did as well. And it's good for those guys to experience something that's a little bit more intense than a regular game because, they don't have really any playoff experience outside of Moody. So, yeah, I mean, you can spin it as a positive in that way. But, I mean, especially down the stretch, I thought the first half was a little bit lackadaisical, but definitely down the stretch, both teams were bringing a level of intensity you just don't see on November 26th. Yeah, it just makes it more intriguing. And I think that's the entire point, right? That's what the league wants to do it.
If this was November 22nd, Warriors versus Pelicans, 15th game of the season with nothing on the line, the Pels aren't pressing down the stretch, trying to see if they can get back into it. That game's over at the 2-minute mark. They probably pack it up, call it a day, and we move on. But instead, we got kind of a tense ending. And honestly, we've had a few of these this year, and I do think it's kind of predictive of what we're going to see from this team down the stretch. Let me put a couple thoughts out there. This is a good team. This is a team, as long as they keep normal health, I feel confident we'll make the playoffs. Not the play-in. We'll make the playoffs. We'll be in that mix. But you and I are greedy. Making the playoffs isn't good enough. I want to view them through the lens of what's going to happen when they get into the playoffs, when they play real teams. And these type of games are the moments that give me that little good, not great execution down the stretch. When the going gets tough, everyone just pressures Steph because they don't trust anyone else to get it going. I thought it was honestly more on the offense than the defense down the stretch. Turnovers, obviously tell the story there, but a lot of it to me was just they don't have an idea of what to do other than Steph save us ball, and if he can't do it, it gets very dicey.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially relying, especially because at this time of the year, Steph isn't very keen on going to the rim and trying to finish, and I understand it. He's 36 years old, so you're essentially saying, all right, Steph, hit a step back over 2 guys, and a lot of nights he's good for that. But on the ones where he isn't, you get it more looking like tonight, a couple bad Steph turnovers, a bad Draymond turnover, and then really nobody else providing any offense besides Wiggins. I thought he was obviously very crucial down the stretch, and then he just kind of like faded away because they weren't really giving him touches, I'd say, more so than anything else. But yeah, like I said,
he was the clear player of the game. We'll get to him
by far, he's been their best he's been their best player the last 2 games, I think, pretty clearly. And like you said, we'll get to it, but he's playing fantastic basketball right now. But yeah, it definitely, and I think it's also good for the front office to see, hey, like, yeah, we've built something very nice here, but at the same time, when teams really ratchet up the pressure defensively and it feels like a playoff level atmosphere, we don't have much outside of Steph, or like you're hoping for a Buddy bailout 3. That's essentially the crunch time offense right now.
Yeah, like if you're the front office, what are you thinking overall? Like what is your, you're 15 games into the season, 12-3, can't complain about that. How are you viewing this team?
Well, I think they have, I mean, if I'm in the front office, I think I would be pretty happy about the job that we did over the summer, considering, we missed on the bigger swings. And a lot of that was maybe the other franchises not wanting to really play ball. But
you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. You know that, but I gotta be a company man sometimes. No, no, but I think I do think this is a perfect lens into, especially with Melton out now. I think what the late game really showed is, man, they really miss Melt, because I think GP did a very nice job on Ingram down the stretch, but he's giving you nothing on the other end. That's where if Melton's in, he's doing the same thing to Ingram, but then you can rely on him to hit an open shot. He can take some of the pressure off Steph as a ball handler. He can run pick and roll. He can create for other guys. And now they just don't have that piece. They tried to go to Pajemski late, and I understood the philosophy behind that. Get another creator out there, but he's just
in his head.
He is so. I mean, him and Kuminga both are just so lost. But yeah, so I understood the theory behind that, and I kind of like Steve going to it, because if Brandon does play well down the stretch there, you probably give him a little confidence boost. But it didn't work out like that. So yeah, if I'm the front office, I'm looking at it like, all right, well, we've done a nice job, but there is more work to do here. I don't think anybody can really question that, especially with Melton out now.
Yeah, look, Wiggins is best offensive game of the season high 30 points. The comfort in which he's getting to his spots and shooting the ball, it feels 2022-ish. It's been said, but I don't know how else to describe it. That's kind of the high water mark for Wiggins. So that's always going to be kind of what you go to when he plays at his best. And that's been awesome. And to your point, it's not just tonight. It's been the last, Wednesday night as well. He's been consistent that way. But going down the line, it's kind of Steph. There's no one else you really trust to get their own offense. Pods has classic sophomore slump. We'll see what happens with him. Like, I don't want to say like it's all going to be fine come December or something like that. Like he is struggling. He's struggling to pretty much do everything offensively, scoring the ball at this point, right? Like he's still got a high IQ. He's still passing the ball. He's still competing. But like, if he can't be a scoring threat, it's very difficult to play him that much.
Especially late in games, because teams lock in defensively, and you're going to have somebody that can go create something. But I think on the Wiggins part, I mean, he looks even maybe a little bit more confident offensively than he did in 2022. He has more on his plate, I'd say, because there is no Poole, there is no Clay to kind of take some of the load off of his shoulders. But it looks almost like that kind of late 2021 stretch, when they went to 15-5, he's looking more like that. He's so confident in his jumper right now. And really, I mean, honestly, in a funny way, where he's showing me like that he actually really is confident is at the free throw line. Like he's making, I think he probably, I don't know what the exact line was.
He's 9 for 9 tonight, which is
right. And that just speaks to the confidence in his jumper, right? Like he's going there. Like there was times over the last 2 years where you could tell he was not driving to the rim because he was scared to shoot free throws, but now he's like, he's being super aggressive because he knows if he gets there, he's probably making both of them. So yeah, he's turned himself into like, all right, if he's out the door, which I wouldn't do at this point, almost under any circumstance, unless you're talking like Giannis, like it has to be that level of guy, because he's so essential to what they're doing right now on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll talk about it a little later, because I feel like all off season, the whole thought was they've assembled. Well, first it was they were going to make a trade. They didn't. Then it was they've assembled a roster to make a trade when a trade comes up. And a lot of that was utilizing Wiggins's contract as like the
salary
whole
ballast
piece,
yeah
of the trade. But when he plays this well, like, no, you can't view it through that lens. So it changes the calculus for them in many ways. Like, if he's included in a trade, you better be getting a no doubt superstar, because if you're just getting a marginal player who might be a shade better than him, but you might gut your depth in the process, I'm not sure you're better. I'm not, like, at best you're you're in the middle, right? So
yeah
it's just kind of like, and you know what? It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have Wiggins playing some of his best ball of the season and making you make tough evaluations of how you want to look at this roster going into next year,
right.
or second half of this year. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
into the deadline.
I will say on that point, I mean, he's playing out of his mind. He's doing a lot of things. Coming into tonight, he's averaging 16 points a game. So it's another thing about this roster, which is he can have huge explosions, but then their depth allows him to have those stretches where he has like 5 games where he's playing really well, but maybe it's 10 points, 15 points, 13
Right.
points. It's not the true second option load that he's carrying. It is defensively. Defensively, I think he's playing as well as I've ever seen him play defense.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know. He's to your point, like, I was ready to enter the season just putting him in the trade machine after every game and seeing what I could spin up to make this roster better. And now I'm viewing it through a different lens. Like, he looks as good as he's looked since the title run. And when he plays at that level, like, it's just very hard to find players who do all the things he does, which is defend the other team's best wing, give
score
you
18 in
15
the
to
flow.
20. Yeah, exactly. Like, he can legitimately shoot the ball and play off ball, which I think is underrated, because a lot of players who score 18, 19, they need the ball in their hands. And if anything, he's better with the ball out of his hands. And he's comfortable playing without the ball out of his hands. So it's kind of like, it's another wrinkle when you're looking at this team, and trade deadline's 2 months away. And I guess we're always going to kind of like default to talking about it here and there all the time, but it's like, it's just, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just going to be, I know, I feel like we talk about it so much, but it's just something that's going to be present for the entire year, really, because it's so clear that they need to do something, and we've kind of known that. But Wiggins has absolutely played himself out of those talks. And I mean, like I said, I wouldn't.
Point. Unless Giannis or someone in the no doubt no one's going to be mad about the cost category comes available.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick before we probably do some reads here. Does that Trey Murphy shot go in last year?
Yes. So sometimes karma's real. Like, sometimes it's just like when you're doing all the right little things, you get a little lucky break. Just a little lucky break there. I don't know.
Like,
here's the other thing. If they hit that shot, do you trust them to come back?
This year I would, yes.
Yeah. That's
Last year I wouldn't have, but no, I definitely definitely had a little flashback to the last couple of years, or like the Utah game a couple years ago when they lose on the Simone Fontecchio layup at the end. Oh my God! Thank God it's not those years.
That one was. I forgot about that one. There were so many of those last year.
So many. That was actually 2 years ago. That was because Poole got stripped, and then they came down and made that layup. Yep. But yeah, no, that shot 100% goes in last year.
So you and I had a little prize picks bet going tonight, and we're going to start with me. I definitely took an L tonight. I was thinking we get a little Steph, Brandon Ingram shootout. That did not happen. It did not happen at all. And I was thinking, because the Pels front court is just kind of a mismatch, we would, no Zion. It could be one of those classics, like Draymond gets 14 in transition, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, running up and down. But credit the Pelicans. They played hard. And also the Warriors are a little lackadaisical for half the game. So I did not hit. I took my L here. Did Tommy hit, though? That's the real question. So what we got here. Wiggins, you for sure hit the over on.
Yep. Trace, I hit the over on. Trace had 9, 8, and no assists, but 9 and 8. So that puts him at 17. Did the BI under hit, though? I haven't checked that yet. And I did use flex play. I always do. So 2 of the 3 hit. So I'm already good. BI hit under. So there we go. 3 for 3.
It was close. It was close. BI 28 total, but yes, hit the under. Wow.
Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Every once in a while.
I got to take my medicine on this one. This kind of hurts.
Yeah. And you called me out on it too. And, all right. So we'll get, when we get to Vegas.
I'm going to talk shit no matter what. So,
when we get to Vegas, you owe me a drink.
I do owe you a drink when we get to Vegas. That is That is a fact. I can't believe that one hurts. I've been kind of on a hot streak with Prize Picks too. And you know what it's like when you hit 2 to 3 in a row and you start feeling yourself and you're like, you know what? I am smarter than the average person.
You're like, I can quit my day job. What do I need a corporate job for?
Prize Picks. I'm living off you. We're about to do daily props, putting the kid through college on them. We're good. And then reality hits. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. It's fun. And I'm up on the season. And what matters is I have fun and I'm up on the season.
Exactly.
Do you feel like you win more than you lose?
I feel like this year I'm hitting about like 55% of the time. But
that's a good win. That's a good win percentage.
Yeah, I've had my bad weeks too. It's it's gambling at the end of the day. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is not.
It's daily fantasy, my friend.
Daily fantasy.
Please do not call it gambling.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, you guys should get in on it. Prize Picks, the best place for real money sports action. Over 10 million members, billions of dollars awarded in winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy accessible for all. Pretty simple, guys. Use the code LIGHTYEARS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's simple. Download the app, put in the code LIGHTYEARS, put $5 in. They send $50 to you. You'll never have to deposit again. You're going to turn that into some winnings and you're playing and have some fun going forward. And you'll be like me, kind of like hate trolling all the time, which is exactly where you want to be. It's a good time. Prize Picks, run your game. Also, guys, tell you about our friends over at Body Spec. Ready to kickstart your fitness journey? Whether you're an athlete, a fitness enthusiast, or getting back into shape, Body Spec has you covered. For less than the price of a haircut, you can get a DEXA scan, the world's most accurate body composition scan. So what's a DEXA scan? Common question. It's a highly accurate method for measuring various aspects of your body's composition. So most common one is body fat percentage. We're always curious about our body fat percentage. Am I like Ray Lewis? Am I 240 pounds with 5% body fat? Probably not. But trying to stay above average. Your bone density, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, the fat around your organs, which tells you, how healthy you are. All this stuff has traditionally been inaccessible for the average Joe. And if you wanted to get one, it was like $300. It was hard to get an appointment. Body Spec has made it easy as just signing up online, $45. They even have mobile vans, which will come to you. So it's pretty simple. Transform your New Year's resolution to a reality. Right now, we're offering a discount. Use the code LIGHTYEARS45 at checkout and get a DEXA scan for only $45. Link is in the description. LIGHTYEARS45, $45. Oh, what's I going to ask you about going forward? I don't want to be a negative person, but I feel like the Wiggins playing out of his mind. Steph and Draymond on a whole are doing the whole veteran leadership and playing great. Tonight, maybe, like a little up and down. It's hard not to notice all the guys under 25 are kind of struggling.
Yeah.
Pods and Kuminga are the most obvious candidates, but Trace overall has been kind of subpar, moody, same old, not bad, but not breakout either type of thing. I don't know. What do you make of all that? Like, where does this whole thing come together? Is this just kind of who they are? They're just good rotation players who are going to be up and down, and we'll see when it comes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to, right? And for a guy like Kuminga, he needs opportunity and he needs touches. And right now, he's just not getting a lot of minutes because Wiggins is playing so well. And the lineups, if Wiggins is going to play 30 to 35 minutes, it just gets tougher to fit Kuminga into lineup combinations because Draymond has to play. So where are you putting him at? If Draymond's playing 30 to 35 minutes, Wiggins is playing 30 to 35 minutes, Kuminga's not a 2. He's not really a 3. So you either have to downsize and go small, and that kills your defense, or you're playing him as like a 3 with a big out there, and that doesn't really work either. We saw that to start the season. So he's just in a tough spot, and I think him and his camp probably overestimated the type of player that he was a little bit. You watch Franz Wagner.
Do you buy that the Warriors offered him around 30 and he walked away because he wanted 35?
If they did offer him 30, I'm very, very glad he did not take it. from a Warriors standpoint. And I'm just being as honest as I can be here. I'm very glad he didn't take it. But like you watch a guy like Franz last night close out the Lakers. You know, he has 37. He's been averaging like 30 a game over his last 8 games. That's what it looks like if you're a max player. And Kuminga can think he's on that level. And look, maybe he goes somewhere else, and he is. And you know, the Warriors end up looking stupid. But I don't see that. Like you if you're just trusting your eyes and you're watching the other guys who got those max contracts, it looks different. It just does. There's way more control. There's way more understanding of how to play the game. There's way more skill, better shooting, better defense. Like across the board, Franz is just a better player than Kuminga is. And like, I don't want to get into the whole like, oh my God, they took Kuminga over Franz. It's more just comparing guys who are in the same draft class and what the real max player looks like and what Kuminga looks like. Like Franz doesn't have games like that really. You know, not like Kuminga had tonight. So, I mean, look, I feel for Kuminga in a way because he's in a really tough spot. And he has been since he got drafted because they're trying to shoehorn and do this whole 2 timelines thing. And it's put him in a really tough spot and all the other young guys in a really tough spot. You know, they have to come in and play like a veteran role player when they're not really ready to do that. So it's a tough spot for everybody. And I mean, I really do think it's best for them to part ways with at least 1 or 2 of these guys. I don't really care who it is at this point. But at some point, you just got to kind of like give up on it almost and go get another veteran who can help you.
Yeah, and it's the thing with them is you can see when they get into their own heads. Pods is just it's so obvious with his shot, with the shots he's not taking, just not knowing where he fits into it. And maybe it's as simple as he broke his nose, the mass mixed with his rhythm, and then next thing you know, you're 0 for 10 from 3, and you're in your own head because you're on a good team where you can't just go shoot 25 shots and like get out of it in 1 to 2 games, you know? And maybe that's the case, or maybe he's 21 and as smart and mature as his game felt last year, he's still a second-year player. Yep. And there's just realities that come with it. And that's just him as an example. In Kuminga's case, you can just see the hesitation, and you can see when the hesitation spirals into him then not asserting himself and then Steve benching him. And then it's a cycle and all that sort of stuff. So it's a tough spot. It's like the whole, you know, they're lauding their depth at this point, and they should. And their depth is a big reason they're winning. And I think you sent it to me. No one's averaging 30 minutes per game, which is some late dynasty Spurs stuff, which is pretty cool. But the downside of it is like young guys, most of them are not ready for that. Most of them kind of need to feel like they can play through their mistakes. Whereas like, I'm not really worried about Steph and Draymond. Like, I'm not worried if they miss shots, like Steph's going to spiral into like, I don't know how to shoot the ball.
Or Buddy or Slow-Mo or like Looney or any of the real veterans. They know, like, you know, when they come in the game, they know what they're supposed to do. And they're not going to spiral after a missed shot or a bad turnover. Whereas like the young guys, they just tend to. It's part of the deal. Right. And I mean, even the broadcast tonight was commenting on pods like multiple times. Ryan Rucco tonight on the broadcast said, "Oh, Podziemski missed that one." You can see him putting his head down after, like, he's really, really in his own head, and it's to be expected because of not only the expectations heaped on him, but the expectations he puts on himself. Like, he comes off as a very confident guy, and I'm sure he had high expectations coming into the year, and it has just not played out that way at all. It's basically a worst case scenario for him, you know, for what he was looking to do this year. And yeah, like I said, it's more just, it's not good for anybody, right? Like, it's not working for the Warriors as a team, and it's not working for the young players themselves. So you're just kind of like everybody shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, no, for sure. Tony in the chat says they needed another ball handler because Steph turned the ball over twice due to pressure. They probably needed another ball handler before Melton got injured and before Pods went into a mental spiral. But when you lose your second and third best ball handlers and kind of the guys you were expecting to be that secondary playmaker around Steph and lineups, it's just more obvious at this stage. You know, it is like, I would like Steph to be a little less loose with the ball in those moments, but I would also like the Warriors to not be painfully predictable with where they want to go with the ball in those moments. Like, if you're that predictable, like, it's going to be 4 guys on staff at all times in those situations. So yeah, I do think they need another ball handler. There's one on the Pelicans. I like, you know, there's guys out there, but like, I guess here's my question to you, Tommy. If you were to add one trait to this Warriors team, is it kind of a ball handler with size who you can trust in closing lineups because like you can always go get a 6-foot ball handler, but I don't think that's what I don't think we're talking about another Chiosa, you know?
Yeah, no. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think it has to be at this point because like I don't love the big man depth, but I do think we've seen them get by with it. We've seen them get by with a big man rotation like this, especially if, and it's going to bother me till no end, especially if they start playing slow-mo more. Like just give him some more minutes. I was shocked he didn't play in the fourth quarter at all, but I do think their big man depth is good enough, especially with kind of a revitalized Looney to get by. It's not perfect, but if you're looking to kind of fill one area of concern right now, I do think it has to be kind of a bigger ball handler. And yeah, Brandon Ingram has his warts, but that would not be a bad guy to
Play make.
Yeah, can play
Playmaker,
make,
whatever you
score.
whatever you want to call it. Just someone
Yep.
who could create some offense and not be 6 feet tall.
Totally.
So.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about Manscaped a little bit, huh? With the holidays creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at Family Dinner award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Head over to manscaped.com and join the 11 million members worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code LIGHTYEARS for 20% off plus free shipping. Guys, I got dinner with some friends after the podcast here. And all I'm going to do, I'm already ready to go. I already showered and everything. I'm just going to go upstairs. I'm going to pull the Chairman Pro out, use the 2 interchangeable skin safe blades, and just shave up and get ready to go. It's super simple. It takes 2 minutes. And here's something that's going to make your grooming routine easier than ever. The Chairman Pro is also waterproof. So if I hadn't showered yet, I could even use it in the shower. So get the Chairman Pro today and experience super important. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code LIGHTYEARS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus the free shipping with the code LIGHTYEARS at manscaped.com. All right, and then we got Mint Mobile here. With the big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought will magically skyrocket. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about the gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. So say bye-bye to all those overpriced wireless bills that we always get when you go over your data plan or you make a random call that you're not supposed to do in an international country. And then you can use your own phone still with a Mint Mobile plan. You can bring your phone number along, all your existing contacts, so they make it super easy to switch over. To get this new customer offer and your 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lightyears. That's mintmobile.com/lightyears. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lightyears. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
All right, so we were talking about Ingram real quick. He's been a popular trade topic. It's not a hidden fact that they want to move him. He's on last year's contract. It doesn't seem like he's staying. And the conventional wisdom had always been, all right, you use Wiggins' contract and GP2 or Looney and some picks, or you throw Kuminga or something like that. Like that had been the kind of idea behind the entire thing. Well, Wiggins is playing so well, and you lost Melton for the year, that I just simply can't justify that type of trade. But it is possible to stack a trade to get Ingram and keep Wiggins. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, like, this is a trade I came up with, and I haven't included picks. So the Warriors are going to be sending Melton, who's done for the year, Kuminga, Moody, and either Looney or Slow-Mo. Just to make the contracts work. That's the difficult thing about making trades to the Warriors. You got to put all those contracts together to get up to like a $35 million player. And then they get someone like Ingram. Is that something that interests you? Like, tell me what you even think of Ingram at this stage.
I mean, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for his game because he does some things for a guy his size, like the versatility of his offensive game. It's pretty rare in a lot of ways. He's 6'7", 6'8", long wingspan.
Oh, he's 6'9", man. He's taller than Wiggins. He's longer than Wiggins. He's not defensively as good as him, but he's like a big ass wing.
Yeah, and he does the KD thing where he's like, oh, I'm not 7 foot. Like he says he's not 6'9", but he's probably 6'9". And the thing is, he can guard when he wants to. I think you saw it more in like his time with the Lakers. when he was a teammate with LeBron. He can definitely he's definitely not Wiggins on that end, but he can guard when he's locked in and he's playing
he's
hard.
not a liability if he wants to be.
No, exactly. And then, Stackhouse is also, I know there's a relationship there between them. So you would hope that Stack can bring a little bit more out of him defensively. But no, he's long, he's rangy, has a mid-range game, which they really don't have a guy like that on this team outside of Steph. But he can get to his spot almost anytime he wants. Pretty good finisher at the rim, can shoot the three ball pretty well. And he's a good ball handler, and he's a pretty good passer too. So like it fills a lot of stuff that they're missing. It's more about, do you believe that they can get him to buy into playing hard every night, like giving the effort that he needs to give? Because that stuff just like it really waxes and wanes with him at times, and you would hope you get him into a better environment, a better culture than what New Orleans has currently, where like, your superstar player Zion isn't out every month with a random ailment because he refuses to stop eating sugar.
You see that photo of Zion shirtless looking like me, man.
Yeah, I mean, somebody did a side-by-side of him and LeBron, and it's like, dude, LeBron at 39 is in 10 times the shape that you are. Like, it's embarrassing, So like, it's hard to stay motivated as like, Ingram thinks of himself as a star, I'm sure, but it's hard to stay motivated when your supposed running mate refuses to stop eating, Sour Patch gummies. Like it just is
Swedish fish.
Yeah.
What do you think Zion's favorite candy?
I've honestly, so I have a buddy who worked for CAA for a little bit, and I've heard it's Sour Patch Kids. I've heard like by the pound, but it's Sour Patch Kids and soda. Like that's the word on the street. So yeah, but it's just hard to stay motivated in that environment. And I think Ingram's ready to leave anyway. Like he was in trade talks all summer. So I would definitely be open to it if they can make the contracts work. Losing Looney that would be a dagger through the heart. And with his up and down as Trace is, I would really hesitate to put Loon in the deal, but it's really either him or Slow-Mo. So it's who you think is going to be more viable in the playoffs.
I would be sad trading either of them, but there's just simply no way for them to get to a $30+ million contract without including one of them or Wiggins. That your option A is use Wiggins $27 million, and then you're talking about like the high contract price guys. Option B is you stack 3 guys making like a little less than 10, right? And it's tough. And the reality is like most of the impact players who really matter, that's where their contract range is. So it's a tough decision. It's the thing I'm with you on him. The reason I'm bullish on Ingram and I'm willing to do this is, and I feel similarly about Julius Randle, who plays a different position and maybe is a little more controversial, is it reminds me so much of the offensive version of the Wiggins move. Like everyone's going to tell me their flaws. Every one of them are true. They are ball stoppers. They do kind of play selfishly at times. Their effort level isn't always where you want it. And then the thing I'll always point out too is I haven't seen them play with Steph Curry. I haven't seen them play in a Steve Kerr system. And I watched what they did with Andrew Wiggins, who had a significantly worse reputation in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm going like, you're telling me if you put someone with Ingram's skill set with Steph and Draymond, if there's a will inside of him at all, you're not going to get the best version of him. And when you talk about the best version of him, there's not a lot of 6'9" guys who can run the offense as a true point forward and shoot at all 3 levels and like legitimately get to spots and make mid-range shots and kind of the thing that the Warriors can't get right now, which is like end of game, tough situation, just someone who can get to a spot, not turn the ball over.
And it like just skill set wise, and obviously take this with a grain of salt. He's KD light, and obviously he's not Kevin Durant. I don't want to don't aggregate me here. Don't whatever. But it just in terms of like the skill set, the things he can do at his size and his length, it has some of that vibe to it. Like that was kind of his comp coming out of college. It's like, oh, he can do some stuff KD does. And obviously he's nowhere near that level of player, but it's a similar thing. And we've seen how that works, just like that type of skill set within the environment. And the thing is like I said, he does float in and out of games a little bit, but I know one thing just from what I've heard from people who are like involved, that dude loves basketball. Like he's a very hard worker when it comes to working on his own game, and you see that in his skill set. So you would hope in being in a more positive environment, it just brings more stuff like that out of him.
Yeah, and like just thinking about it realistically, it's like, okay, you have Steph and Draymond. We know who they are. You have Wiggins, who's the quintessential 3-and-D guy right now, even a little more.
As good as anybody in the league at that role.
You want another wing who can create offense. There's Ingram. You have positional size. If you can go Steph, Wiggins, Ingram, that's a huge perimeter. Draymond. And then, you can go either way. You can go with the Trace, Looney, slow-mo, big man. They all do different things, but they're all like 6'9"-ish, right? Or you can put GP2 in there and go with a death lineup, but a death lineup that has size that actually matters because Ingram 6'9", Wiggins is 6'8", and GP2 plays well bigger than 6'2" or 6'3". So it's not a perfect situation, but like it does intrigue me. And I've been thinking about it more and more. I think I'd rather gamble on someone like Ingram, who there is disappointment in him, but he's 27, than trade for Jimmy Butler, who I adore and I love. And like, that is, I don't have to worry about his effort level, but he's 35. He'll be 36 to the play. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather bet on Steph, Draymond, and Steve Kerr getting the best Ingram than Celebrini, saving biology basically, which I mean, to be fair, is like a good bet too, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like I like Jimmy a lot, but like there's a scenario where like you trade for Jimmy or Paul George and you're like, man, we're old and injured.
Yeah. And then they play 20 games for the rest of the season, and
right. And it doesn't matter what they can do in a best of 7 because you're not in a best of 7.
Right. Exactly. No, I mean, at this point, yeah, I think the kind of that mid-prime guy it's just the better gamble. And then you're future-proofing yourself in a way too. Like you can kind of see a path to some type of wins after Steph. And if you ever decide like, let's just tank the whole thing, in 3 to 4 years, Brandon Ingram is still going to have some trade value. In 3 to 4 years,
he's 27.
In 3 to 4 years, Jimmy Butler is going to be he's going to be spending time in Italy. It's an entirely different thing. Yeah, exactly, man. Tell me
before we get out of here, our guy Paratosh asked a question. He goes, "What do you guys think about trying to get Cam Johnson or Schroeder from the Nets? I don't know the contracts would work." So I actually feel like this is a good one. Cam Johnson had 37 tonight.
Yeah,
9 threes. Cam Johnson also makes, I want to say, $23 million. So you can acquire him using 3 contracts instead of 4, which is kind of significant given the Warriors, right? Would you rather have Cam Johnson? Would you rather trade for Cam Johnson or Brandon Ingram? Knowing that Ingram's going to cost you at least 1 extra rotation player just to make the contracts work.
It's a really tough question. I honestly don't like, this is not a great answer, but I honestly don't know if I have one. Now, if you're telling me you can get Cam Johnson and Schroeder, I might do that over Ingram because I think the money is actually about, if Cam Johnson plus Schroeder is actually equivalent to Ingram, I want to say money wise, it's right around the ballpark. So I think I would almost do that because then you get a big guy who can shoot and you get an extra ball handler, and Schroeder can do a lot of the POA stuff, right? He can really defend the ball. And so
he's irritating as fuck.
Oh my, and he's super quick. He's got great hands. Like, he's, out of everybody in the NBA, I honestly think he bothers Steph more than anyone. Like, no joke. I think he does a better job on Steph than almost any guy in the NBA. So you could like maybe throw GP2 into that trade instead, right? So it'd be GP2 plus Kuminga plus whoever, and maybe you can keep both Looney and Slow-Mo. I don't know exactly how the money works, but that's almost more enticing to me because then you can keep positional size, you get a ball handler back, you get a POA defender back, and you get a small ball 4 type back.
Yeah, but with see, I'm still on the Ingram bandwagon because I'd rather have the one guy who can do multiple things, who I know is in my closing lineup, and worry about patchworking depth. And I say that as this team is 12-3 and winning on depth and winning on the fact that no one's playing 30 plus games. I almost feel like it's easier to make that Hail Mary play at the midseason when you're not as worried about the long season. I don't know. That's me.
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally get that. You wouldn't feel comfortable closing with Steph, Schroeder, Wiggins, Cam Johnson, Dre? That doesn't do anything for you?
I don't know that that's demonstratively better than the options I have right now.
Sure.
I like it. That's a tough team. And I'm not going to put Steph and Draymond and competency. Like, they have a shot against anyone with that, right? Like that sort of thing. But I feel like they need one other guy who I can trust to get to their spots, who I can trust to do just something to break the offense off in some way. Someone who can kind of, it's like break glass in case of emergency, which is kind of how I see what Ingram could be for this team. Like, I know he can fit into the motion offense if he wants to. Yes. I know he can hit catch and shoots if he needs to. What really interests me with him, and I know he can defend if he wants to, what really interests me in him is when things break down because you're playing OKC and they know everything and you're in game 4, he can get to a spot and do something. And, if they want to put Lou Dort on him and let Steph be the one who goes one-on-one, that's cool too. So
Absolutely.
it's just having another guy who actually is high on the scouting report.
Yeah, no, it's a guy that like a team actually has to worry about outside of Steph. And right now they're just Wiggins a little bit, Buddy a little bit, but there's nobody that teams are like, if we don't pay attention to this guy, he's going to kill us tonight. Buddy kind of, but I can see the argument either way. Push come to shove, I mean, I probably go Ingram, but if they can execute either one of those things, either you get Schroeder and Cam Johnson, or you just get Ingram, I'd be happy with either one.
I think the only thing that's evolved in my mind is I'm much more in on going for these guys who are impact players or impact adjacent players at 27, 28 than going for like I love Jimmy, and like anytime his name comes up, I'm like just thinking about like playoff Jimmy 3 years ago and like how much I want that player on the Warriors.
And
But
Jimmy and
like,
Draymond on the same team, how much fun that would be.
yeah, and it's just like, but the other part of me is like, man, I just don't know if I need 3 guys over 35,
Yeah,
like that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think we end it here. We'll be back tomorrow night. Appreciate everyone. Tommy, go have a good dinner.
Thanks
Guys.
everybody. See you guys tomorrow.